participatory governance aimed towards the establishment of just, equitable and egalitarian society. We believe in politics of inclusion. We believe in politics of participation. Thus, we will try to ensure that decisions are transparent and made with participation of citizens. Our aim is the empowerment of people through policies and programs that can facilitate growth and development and help us move towards medium and long-term economic growth. Growth which is not for few but for the many. I am thankful to all our honourable MPs from the Treasury side especially for the support and look forward to the cooperation in future. Mr. Speaker, a year ago we announced our initial response to coronavirus. What was originally thought to be a temporary disruption to our way of life has fundamentally altered it. People are still being told to stay in their homes. Businesses have been ordered to close early. Thousands of people are in hospitals. Much has changed, but one thing has stayed the same. I said we would do whatever it takes, and we have done it, and we will do so. The preparation of budget was undertaken in circumstances like never before. We knew of calamities that have affected a country or a region within a country. But what we have endured with COVID-19 through 2020-21 is sui generis. When I presented the budget 2020-21, we could not have imagined that our people, as those in other provinces, would have endured the loss of near and dear ones and such a hardship brought about to a health crisis. Mr. Speaker, our rich history serves as concrete evidence of how we have overcome our challenge by the dint of our own efforts and resilience. Our economic situation may be far from perfect, and adequate help may not be forthcoming. But on behalf of people of Sindh, I can say that we will pass this ordeal with flying colours, the way we have done so often in the past. I am reminded of the hauntingly beautiful words of the great poet, Dr. Muhammad Allama Iqbal, and I quote, "जिंदा रहना है तो हालात से डरना कैसा, जंग लाजिम हो तो लश्कर नहीं देखे जाते." Mr. Speaker, the economic meltdown due to COVID-19 and inflation has severely affected the life of ordinary citizens. We are sensitive to the hardship being faced by the common man in its causes background, and we stretched our resources, rolled out interventions, and could provide some immediate relief. Additionally, we began some program for empowering the vulnerable sections of our society to gradually move towards inclusive growth. So there are a number of steps that we have taken, and I have listed these in the budget book. So budget making is always a daunting task, especially when global economy is suffering from pandemic and uncertainty, and then there are serious resource constraints. This monsoon season has brought heavy rainfall to Karachi than on previous occasions. We had more rainfall in one day than in 92 years. Urban flooding had affected major areas of the city, especially District Central, due to the ill-designed Green Line project, Yusuf Board in District Malir, Wazir mentioned in District South and DHA. Despite such impediments, we took extraordinary measures and carried out rapid need assessment for our Ashura procession for its peaceful culmination. Against all odds, we have tried to present a different budget and given people of this province relief and opportunity which they expect from us. Different, not in words, but in spirit and in content. We have taken utmost care to facilitate a budget which is clearly pro-people and pro-poor. Sir, as stated earlier, the focus of this budget is the overall betterment and welfare of the people, for which efficient and optimal utilization of resources is mandatory. I want to confidently state that our government is fully prepared to support and facilitate the economic and social foundation reset. The budget provides every opportunity to raise and capture the pace that needs for sustainable growth. We aim to provide towards peaceful prosperous Sindh by protecting the most vulnerable people from the impact of pandemic and bringing about sustainable socio-economic and infrastructure and human resource development. Mr. Speaker, I want to say with great regret that the actual transfers from the federal government to the government of Sindh in the fiscal year always fall short of the estimate provided. As FPR falls short in collection of its targets, the federal government is the major contributor to Sindh finances comprising 72.5% in its entirety. It is a fact that the shares inevitably fall short of the estimates we have provided every year. As a result, our development expenditure has to be adjusted to offset the effect. However, it is our desire to work in close coordination with the federal government in the larger interest of the people of Pakistan to overcome these issues. We thus expect that the federal government would also support us in our endeavors and help to come with viable solutions to issues faced by Sindh. Sir, I'll just tell you that out of the total transfers promised of 760 billion, we've actually received 613 billion to date, and we are still short of 147 billion rupees. The federal government, as always, has failed to deliver to the people of Pakistan, and the figures speak for themselves. Mr. Sir, before I commence revised estimates of 2020-21, I want to make a moment to acknowledge how isolating and distancing seemed like unsurmountable challenges for a country like ours that has people coming together in times of crisis. It hurt us in many ways. I bow my head in respect of every citizen for the endurance shown in facing what was undeniably a tough year. For all our physical and mental well-being, having said that, we are all reminded and again that the fight against COVID-19 continues in 2020-21. Sir, I salute our frontline workers, the doctors, the nurses, the paramedics, technicians, our law enforcement agencies, the administration, and our media workers who have risked their lives to protect us. With your permission, sir, let me now present before the August House the fiscal performance of the government during the current financial year. Against an estimated budgetary amount of rupees 1073.7 billion, the revised estimate of the province for current financial year 2020-21 stands at rupees 960.4 billion. As mentioned earlier, we are facing shortfall on account of federal transfers. During 11 months of this financial year, against initial budgeted receipts of 760 billion, we have only received rupees 613 billion, leaving a shortfall of 147 billion which the federal government has to deliver in the month of June. And I can say that, as always, they will fail in delivering to the people of Pakistan. The provincial tax receipts are not fees is revised to 242.9 billion against an estimated 313.4 billion. On the expenditure side, budget has been revised from 968.99 billion to rupees 954.4 billion. The annual development expenditure is revised down from 160.3 billion to 160.3 billion from 232 billion rupees. There has been a severe financial crunch due to reduced resources from federal government and low collection from provincial resources due to COVID. Provincial ADP, which was 228 billion in year 2019-20, was reduced to 170 billion in 2020-21. The revised estimates of current ADP will be about 113 billion. Despite various constraints, stakeholders departments are likely to complete 460 schemes during 2020-21. By the end of current financial year, we will be able to spend 80% of the development budget, that is 15% higher than last year's financial year. It reflects on a growing capacity and a rational financial management. So for the next financial year 2021, we are estimating a total budget of 1,452 billion rupees, as against budget estimates of 1.22 trillion for current financial year. This is an overall increase of 19%. Receipts from federal government on account of revenue assignments, trade transfers and grants are estimated at rupees 869.68 billion, which constitute 72.5% of total receipts of the province. It is an increase of 12.6% over estimates of 760.3 billion in the last year. However, the budget estimates of trade transfers for next financial year have decreased substantially by approximately 20.6% to rupees 49.5 billion from the budget estimate of 62.34 billion in the current financial year. The receipts on federal PSDP are 5.37 billion, which is a miserable figure as compared to 27.5 billion in 2017-18 before the advent of this current government. So the foreign project assistance is estimated at rupees 71 billion. Received from provincial owned resources account of tax and non-tax receipts are estimated at rupees 329 billion, which constitute 27.5% of the total receipt. This is an increase of 4.8% over estimates of 313.4 billion in the current financial year. So the total budget outlay for financial year 2020-21 is estimated at rupees 1,477 billion, as against budget estimates of 1,241 billion in the current financial year. This shows an overall increase of 19%. The current expenditure of province is projected as rupees 1.14 trillion, which includes current revenue expenditures of 1.089 trillion and current expenditure of rupees 59.49 billion. So the development expenditure of the province is estimated at rupees 329 billion, which includes rupees 222.5 billion of provincial ADP, rupees 30 billion for district ADP, foreign project assistance of 71 billion, and a paltry 5.4 billion of federal PSDP grants, the lowest ever in the foreseeable past. In financial year 2021-22, we contemplate to complete 1,033 schemes and maximum resources have been provided for those. All schemes with a throw forward of less than 100 million have been given full allocation. In addition, all schemes where 70% expenditure has been made have been given full allocation, and in this way, we will inshallah strive to complete the highest ever number of schemes in any financial year, 1,033 in the next financial year. So keeping in view the non-development development expenditure priorities, the major milestones of our objectives are provide infrastructure to educational institutions for increased enrollment, improve and upgrade health facilities and managing available health institutions, provide nutrition support, community infrastructure funds, income generating grants, micro assets and low cost housing for reducing poverty of poorest of the poor, increase agricultural productivity and value chain, conservation of water for agriculture, industrial and municipal consumption, provide clean drinking water and safe disposal of sewage, improve connectivity between major cities and towns of the province, increase road connectivity and plant mass transit for Karachi city. Mr. Speaker, the government has remained overly cautious about growth size of government vis-a-vis service delivery. We believe in minimum government with maximum governance. Even though it is the responsibility of government to create employment opportunities, however, such creation of opportunities should be carefully planned. During our tenure, we have only made appointment based on need, ensuring meritocracy. For next financial year, we have created 2,600 posts. So our primary focus was on health, and I've told you the major initiatives that we are taking in the health sector. I will just mention a few initiatives that we are taking, sir. We are allocating 7.6 billion in the next financial year with an increase of 10% for 9 vertical programs to combat, control polio, TB, AIDS, the Lady Health Worker Program, hepatitis control, expanded program for immunization and others. We are dedicated to improve health cover and we are striving to maximize the facility at the primary level. On the other hand, we are trying to improve service deliveries and enhance operational capabilities at the secondary and tertiary levels. Around 62 schemes likely to be completed up to June 2021. This will increase access to quality healthcare services network province-wide. Resource allocation is done as per the real needs and requirements of the people. This has improved both the process of budgeting and provision of health services. Sir, there are many initiatives taken. I have listed all of them in my policy statement, which is present in the budget station. Sir, one effort that I would like to mention here is that the Sindh government constructed the Sindh Infectious Disease Hospital and Research Center. Looking at the COVID problem, we immediately moved, and within 3 months we constructed this hospital, and this hospital is the only hospital in the country providing services for infectious disease. It is the hospital where under one roof 3,049 patients have been treated, which is a record, and no other hospital, either public or private, can boast that is done. And this is the first choice hospital for all patients, and all the health provided here is done free of cost. All the treatment is done free of cost. Sir, 100-bedded hospital and maternity home at Eidgah, Karachi, Sindh Institute of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation. Health Department was sent for it in the identification of dead bodies in the result of disasters. Aman Healthcare Service for ambulance services. People's Medical College Hospital, Nawabshah. A success to the side, we plan to unfold the following interventions. Funds to the tune of 24.72 billion have been allocated specifically to deal with the pandemic. 964 new posts will be created at different levels for health management. 18.32 billion has been proposed for purchase of drugs and medicines. Rupees 2 billion is being kept for purchase of PCR and PPE kits in context with COVID-19. Rupees 646. In addition to above, 8.2 billion rupees has been allocated to PPHI, 7.1 billion rupees and 2 billion for the expansion of the Indus Hospital, 6.4 billion to SICVD. Rupees 4 billion has been allotted to Institute of Peer Abdul Qadir Shah Jilani Gambat. Rupees 473 million has been allocated to Institute of Ophthalmology and Visual Sciences, Hyderabad. Rupees 600 million for Jacobabad Institute of Medical Sciences. Rupees 2 billion has been allocated to Shaheed Mohtama Benazir Bhutto Trauma Center, Karachi. Hyderabad, Bhatta, Sijawal, Hyderabad, Karachi and Umarkot. Rupees 170 million has been proposed for 10 dialysis centers. So for the next financial year, from development side, we plan to unfold the following interventions. COVID response and other natural calamity programs in Sindh, co-finance with federal government with 50% share from the government of Sindh at an estimated cost of rupees 20.8 billion. Establishment of biosafety lab 3 at Sindh Infectious Disease Hospital. Provision of linear accelerator with integrated high-field MRI system at Dow University of Health Sciences, Karachi. Provision and installation of on-site oxygen generation, medical gas plants and tertiary care hospitals in Sindh. Sir, I will move on to medical education now. Besides health services, medical education is crucial for maintenance and accreditation of standards in health services. Therefore, the medical education has received a substantial increase in its budget to produce the increase of rupees 2.846 billion to rupees 9.14 billion. Financial implications of rupees 509.79 million. Besides, rupees 75.314 billion are proposed to purchase of machinery and rupees 26.4 million are proposed for purchase of furniture and fixtures. 12 nursing colleges are proposed to be adopted on recurring site by transferring 302 posts and by creating 216 new posts with financial implication of rupees 466 million. Sir, I will move on to education. Education is the single most important factor in the development of a nation. The government of Sindh envisages providing quality education to all, enabling our children to realize that we cannot exceed unless those who is education. Youth and our children are facing the future of a nation. Actually, the future of a nation. It is the single most important factor in the development of a nation. The government of Sindh envisages providing quality education to all, enabling our children to realize their full potential. We must take a good look at the curriculum being followed in the schools to ensure that they are free from outdated ideas and train our teachers so that they take a genuine interest in stimulating keenness and curiosity in our children from the outset, so that our future generations comprises of thinkers, innovators in every field of inquiry. Thus, the people's government has allocated the highest percentage resources towards education in 2021-22. It will see an increase of 13.5% over allocation of current financial year. Sir, for the next financial year, we propose to enhance budget for education to rupees 277.5 billion from the current 244.5 billion. Sir, in the current financial year, the ADP allocation for education sector was rupees 21.1 billion. It comprises of school education, college education, universities. In 2021-22, the government is increasing the ADP allocation for the education sector to rupees 26 billion. Sir, the major interventions for the next year I will list out. In the next financial year, the department has proposed 100 more shelterless schools for provision of buildings. Rupees 600 million has been earmarked for opening and operationalizing non-formal centers in the higher rate out of school children districts. Due to recent heavy urban floodings, huge losses of educational institutions have occurred in the province. Rupees 2.5 billion for primary schools and rupees 2 billion for secondary schools have been proposed for rehabilitation, repair, reconstruction in next year's ADP. So for college education, the budget is increased by 11.8% to rupees 22.8 billion from the current rupees 20.446 billion. For college education, an allocation of rupees 4 billion is proposed in the ADP for 43 ongoing and 64 new schemes. Sir, I have listed down the achievements of the Sindh Education Foundation, and this can be seen in the policy statement given by me. In the universities and boards, in the current financial year, the grant for public sector universities was rupees 11.07 billion. For the next financial year, the volume of grant has been increased by 20% to rupees 13.314 billion. This includes an amount of rupees 2 billion for registration enrollment for annual examination fees of class 9 to 12. An amount of rupees 1.2 billion has been allocated for scholarships to students scoring A1 grade in SSC and HSC education boards of Sindh. Sir, a grant of rupees 200 billion has been allocated for Third Institute of Engineering, Science and Technology, the ADT campus for Tharparkar. Initially, the college had launched Bachelor of Science in Computer Science program in 2019. From this year, civil engineering program will be offered with an initial intake of 50 students. This will enable locals to acquire education and research excellence in engineering and allied disciplines. Want, disease, ignorance, scholar and idealist. With all humility, I would like to say that this budget in specific and policies of government are essentially focused on combating these 5 issues. Sir, affected by COVID-19 under Sindh People Support Program through Social Protection Strategic Unit Social Welfare Department. Rupees 3 billion is allocated for soft loan program for small and medium enterprises. Loan size will range from rupees 5 million to a maximum of rupees 2 million. From rupees 0.5 million to rupees 2 million. An allocation of 3 billion is proposed under poverty alleviation program for small farmers, community-based loans in rural areas. Loan size of rupees 25,000 using poverty reduction quota of ongoing poverty reduction program by utilizing services of SRSO, NRSP, THERTIP through Social Protection Strategic Unit, Social Welfare Department. Rupees 2 billion is earmarked for low-cost housing through Benazir housing cells, catering needs for the people who either do not have their own houses or their houses are in dilapidated condition, posing risk to their life and property. Rupees 2 billion is earmarked for small business support funds in urban areas through Social Protection Strategic Unit, Social Welfare Department. Loan size will be maximum of rupees 0.2 million. Rupees 1 billion is kept for supporting technology-based startups, incubators and accelerated investment department. Rupees 2 billion is allocated for registration, enrollment and annual examination fee of class 9 to 12. Sir, government initiated poverty reduction program from 2 districts and has expanded it to 12 districts. Through this program, government has reached out to millions of women households. Success of Pakistan People's Party's poverty reduction program attracted European Union to join provincial government initiative through Sindh Union Council and Community Economic Strengthening Program in additional 8 districts. Under next generation reform, the poverty reduction strategy has been developed, which focuses on community-driven local development, rural and urban service, up through cluster approach and enterprise development. This approach is being implemented in District Sijawal as pilot. Then I'll talk briefly about the Women Development Department. Government of Sindh has taken a number of steps.
वज़ीर आला सिंध मुराद अली शाह सिंध असेंबली में साल 2021-22 का बजट पेश कर रहे थे। इस दौरान हमने देखा कि बहुत ज्यादा शोर शराबा किया गया अपोजिशन की जानिब से। ऐवान चोर चोर के नारों से, सीटियों से, तालियों से गूंजता रहा। हत्तुल इम्कान यही कोशिश की गई कि किसी तौर बजट में रुकावट आए, लेकिन वज़ीर आला सिंध मुराद अली शाह बजट पेश करते रहे।